What's happening, friends? Welcome to Podcast Unlocked, episode 422. Again, we'll explain that. We weren't here last week. Thanks, technical errors. Anyway, it's for December 10th, 2019, and there is so much to get to this week. We've got big Project Scarlett news. We've got the Game Awards coming up. We've got Resident Evil 3. We've got a baseball game is coming to Xbox, a real one. And if you're a baseball fan at all, you know this is a huge deal. And even outside of baseball, it's a huge deal, and I'll explain why. There is just so much to get to. Stay tuned. Unlocked 422 is coming at you right now. All right, my friends, I'm Ryan McCaffrey. To my right, Destin Legary.
Bam! Hey, everybody.
He's back. Back with a bam.
Sorry I missed last week.
Mark Medina.
Why isn't it called Resident Evil 3 Remake?
Turns out you didn't miss last week. Why is it called Remake?
Why isn't it called Resident Evil 3 Remake?
I agree with you completely.
Moving on.
Miranda Sanchez, hi.
Hello. Stop. I need to get off this train. There was some stuff going on in the pre-show.
The show just started.
And I don't know if I'm prepared for this. I haven't had enough coffee.
Oh, my goodness. Well, yeah, as you can see, we're all very fired up because we did not get to actually put out a show last week. We had video, everything seemed look good, and then when I went to publish it all, there was no audio for anything and no way to resurrect it. So now, if you're wondering, well, that's idiotic. Well, is that going to ever happen again? No, because John Borba, super producer, is sitting off camera over there in the corner, keeping an eye on everything, making sure we are recording and we are golden. So
he also dances to the music, which is
it is very nice.
It's gonna be a great show.
It's gonna be great. Yes, episode 422. This is our penultimate Unlocked for 2019. One more show to go. The trophy is here because it's possible we might be awarding it today. Destin, you can. You can't clinch with just a correct answer. Miranda would also have to miss. But if you do get it right, you could do no worse than a tie and force a runoff. So
okay,
we may be awarding the trophy today.
We'll see.
We will see. The Unlock Block Trivia Trophy.
That was the real reason I didn't want to be on the show today. I'm nervous.
It's going to be good. We're going to have a good time. I specifically chose a listener question that I thought none of you would have an advantage on. That it's just pretty out there. It's a matter of trying to test your memory a little bit and maybe just a little random roll of the dice. So we'll do that later in the show. What else before we get rolling here? The Game Awards is next week. So, excuse me, the Game Awards is this week. So on next week's Unlocked, we'll recap all of that. I'm super curious to see what sort of Xbox things. We already know Jeff Keighley has confirmed that we'll see the first Gears Tactics footage. Miranda, I know that's got you fired up.
Yes, I'm super excited.
And then new gameplay for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which has got me fired up because we haven't seen that game in, over a year?
16 years.
It's been in development for a while, but yeah,
long.
I played it at last year's E3, and it's due out in, I believe it's February. Yeah, February. It's the first of the many first-party games coming out in 2020. In fact, I had to make a list. I was on GameScoop this week, and we're talking about 2019 recap, 2020, what's coming up. Microsoft shipped 2 first-party games this year. One was phenomenal, Gears 5. One was not, Crackdown 3. But 2020, it remains to be seen how good they are, but February is Ori 2. March is Minecraft Dungeons. March is Bleeding Edge. April's Minecraft Dungeons, and May is Wasteland 3. So you've got a first-party title 4 months in a row. I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of Microsoft first-party studios. Plus, Cuphead Delicious Last Course DLC at some point. And Battletoads is supposed to be spring, so that's somewhere in there as well. And then, of course, Halo in the fall, probably Forza Motorsport 8 at launch for Scarlett as well. So we will, at the very least, not suffer the same drought that we got on the first-party side this year. And hopefully the Game Awards is going to give us our first taste of what 2020 is going to be like. All right, before we get rolling with the news, I wanted to mention Halo Reach is out for the Master Chief Collection. So it's out on Xbox and therefore completing the collection on Xbox. And it's also, they put Reach out on PC, which is the start of Master Chief Collection on PC. So I thought, Reach, a lot of people, Reach is their favorite Halo. Thought I'd just kind of go around, what is each of your favorite Halo game, whether it's Reach or another one, just as we kind of celebrate the ultimate completion of the Master Chief Collection, which I am re-reviewing right now. I threatened to do this a long time ago. Finally doing it, and spoiler alert, it's going really well. It works.
Yay.
And it's so much fun. I've been throwing the most obscure selections at it I can, because you can basically tell it exactly what you want. You could say, well, I want big team battle, but only from Halos 2, 3, and 4. Or you could say, I want SWAT just from Halo 2. And I've been throwing all sorts of weird combinations at it, and it has gotten me a game every single time. So it's going super well. Favorite Halo, Destin?
Usually I'm torn between Halo 2 and 3. You said that Reach is many people's favorites on a run of show. I had to play it on PC. It is kind of one of their stronger storytelling games.
Bungie's final Halo.
Yeah, their final Halo. I phrased that weird. But anyway, my personal favorite is probably Halo 2 for gameplay, but Halo 3 for other reasons. Halo 3 is kind of when I started doing video capture and learning how to edit and stuff like that. And I entered a contest that I made a dumb video called We Love Halo 3 on game trailers. And I ended up winning the contest because the other guy who was competing had made that video like 2 years before. And the rules specifically stated. Anyway, so I won the contest. On
a technicality?
Sort of on a technicality, yeah. Because the community was like, that guy made that video 3 years ago. So I won. I got a signed poster from Bungie.
Oh, that's cool.
Like the whole team of Halo 3. And the video was real dumb. But it kind of like kicked off this video production gig that I'm doing today.
That's great. Oh, I love that. It's a great story.
And I love Halo 3. Halo 3 is a really good game. And what they were able to do with the replay tool, somebody tweeted about this actually, about...
Yeah, the Forge stuff.
Yeah, they actually created that using the save point system, and they would replay a moment in time over and over again. And they did something with writing to the disk. He was sort of tweeting about how it happened, and I'm like, hey, like, thank you for, putting so much development work into that. That is a large reason why I'm a video editor, producer, manager today.
Yeah, so, that's great. Oh, I love that. That's a fantastic story. Top that, Mark Medina.
I can't.
What's your favorite Halo?
I've said it on the show before. Halo Reach is my favorite Halo.
Nice.
I'm playing it on PC. Sounds a little wonky on it, but the game is super fun. And that as far as storytelling goes, that is a great game.
Mark, how's the sound wonky?
It's this thing where when you shoot your gun, it kind of sounds like it's a mile away. The music's crazy loud, and
I have not experienced this.
It's only on PC.
I know, but I've been playing on PC at home.
I've tweaked it. I mean, there's no tweaking to be done.
Right.
I've messed with my computer sound systems, and I've looked it up, and a lot of people are like, "Yo, y'all need to fix this sound." It just sounds like your gun's super far away. The music sounds super loud, and then when they're talking to you, certain people you just cannot hear them.
I had that issue with Call of Duty. Weirdly enough,
Weird.
like with another shooter that had somewhat similar issues.
Strange. I wonder if it's like a Dolby weird bug or something. But
some sort of Windows sound card update. I don't know. But the game is fun. It runs super well on PC. It looks great.
Right. It still the image quality. It still looks pretty good for a 9-year-old game, right?
Well, they enhanced the graphics. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, 4K 60 frames.
Yeah, I'm playing 1080 144 hertz,
Nice.
and because it's an old game, it's like max settings, and I think my computer is getting like 300 frames. So it's like, even though it's enhanced textures, it still can run it. And so that's like what's making it great. Is it's one of the rare games that I can get a solid 144 hertz with a G-Sync monitor. It's great. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I probably played more multiplayer of Halo 3, and so I like it a lot. There's definitely a soft spot there. But Halo Reach is my favorite campaign for sure.
What's your favorite mission in Reach?
Oh man, spoilers.
It's a 9-year-old game.
Lone Wolf. Definitely. Like that's what kind of like so the mission before Lone Wolf, the final mission of the game, like that is like it's like a sad mission because it's just like you and this guy left, and he's just like, there it is, the Pillar of Autumn, race you to her, and you're just kind of like, it's just you guys left, and then at the end that it's just gonna be you left, and then it's just like this like struggle to stay alive, but you're not going to stay alive. And it's the first time you actually see your helmet cracking and stuff like that. What a great game. What a great end to a great game.
I'm a big fan of the Saber mission when you go up into space.
Oh, yeah.
That was the coolest moment in Reach for me. I love that stuff. Miranda, favorite Halo?
It's very hard because I love the original trilogy a whole lot. It's like a foundation of like first-person shooters for me. So competitively, I love Halo 3 so much. And like kind of similar with Destin, gameplay-wise, I actually really like what they did with a lot of stuff in Halo 2. Dual-wielding healers, it's my favorite thing. But I think Combat Evolved is my favorite.
Nice.
It's one of the few games that I just like dragged all my friends in from high school and like far before that, just to play Halo, like just to play this game. It's like, hey, you don't care about video games, but I'm gonna force you to sit down with me and play Halo with me because this is something that's important to me. And like you can just kind of jump in. It's a little bit simple enough to where people can understand it. And it was also one of the few games my dad would play with me, but behind my mom's back. Like she would leave and he was like, okay, I don't have anyone to play with, but I know you want to play this game. So don't tell your mom.
This M-rated video game?
Yeah, because I'm kind of young. So it's like I was super baby when this came out. And so I could like play and I understood what was going on, but it's, more violent, and like they used to hide a GoldenEye from us, and like I would find and still play it. And so this was really special for me to have that with my dad, and so like we would play Halo together, and then eventually we brought in my brother, and like that's such a really meaningful thing for me, and that's why I like to share specifically Combat Evolved with other people. And so yeah, that's
great. So are you talking co-op campaign or multiplayer or both?
Both.
Nice. Yeah. Favorite map? Multiplayer map? Got one?
I don't remember the multiplayer maps as well for Combat Evolved.
Okay. Yeah, for me, it's always Blood Gulch, number one, but Hang 'em High is
I would say,
so good.
Yeah, probably Blood Gulch.
You can't argue with
good.
the Gulch. It's the best. It's a box desert canyon.
Yeah.
Full of vehicles and awesomeness.
Halo was the first twin stick shooters that I ever played. It's like I played like GoldenEye and I've played games on PC, but I remember playing Halo for the first time with a giant controller. And I'm like, whoa, this is weird. This just makes you walk and this makes you look. And I remember being like, this is really, really weird. And then like 10 minutes in, I was like, of course this is what makes sense. And that's still what it is.
Yeah. For me, it's very much Halo 2, like by a mile. Even though one would be my second ranked one, but 2, I think I've probably told the story on Unlocked before, but I have never, and still since have never seen or personally experienced as much hype for a video game. The hype heading into Halo 2 was just off the charts. And this was before social media. I mean, this is 2004. And it was just, everybody was so fired up for it, myself included, both personally and professionally working at OXM. And finally getting to play it, and it completely lived up to, I think, not only its own hype, but my own hype for it, particularly on the multiplayer side. I don't know if there's ever been a better overall high-quality collection of multiplayer maps in a single game. Like Call of Duty has, most shooters, there's sort of maybe 1 or 2 or even 3 standout maps.
Yeah.
But in Halo 2, basically, I would say 90% of them weren't just good, but they were great. Like, I mean, Lockout, Midship, Ivory Tower, Coagulation, just the list goes on. It's absurd how good the multiplayer maps were. It's like the map designers, which is Chris Carney and Max Hoberman and the Bungie team, were just in some sort of zone. And it was the maps in that game are it's the only game I can name probably like a dozen or more of the maps just off the top of my head.
There's so many maps for multiplayer games that I love, and I just never remember the names, and I feel so bad. It's like, that one in the desert, and there's a convenience store around the corner, and then there's like this one peeking hole. Like that's how I describe my maps. It's like the worst.
Isn't Zanzibar like that?
Zanzibar with
the fan map,
which is the first.
Like I want to play on the fan map.
That's the first multiplayer map they ever showed off at E3 2004. With on single flag CTF, whereas one, you start on the beach and you're trying to get into the base and get the map. I mean, yeah, it's Beaver Creek. It's just the list goes on and on and on, and even the extra maps, the multiplayer map pack they released later, was full of great maps. They just kept it rolling. And now playing it again on Master Chief Collection for this re-review, coming back to the MCC. Like I said, it all works. It still feels amazing. And even the handful of Halo 2 remake maps where they remade them in the new engine, that was Max Hoberman did that at Certain Affinity. They still look amazing even 5 years later. Master Chief Collection came out 5 years ago already, but Max nailed the feel of Halo 2, and they feel fantastic. So, yeah, Halo 2 always the one true king in my heart. Okay, let's get to the news. There is a lot to cover. We started early this week, thankfully.
Yeah.
The shoot before us got out early, so we hopped right in. Lockhart. So Project Scarlett. We've been sort of using it as a shorthand for the one single super powerful next-gen console. But in reality, behind the scenes, Project Scarlett is a project umbrella. Destin, I think you might be able to explain this pretty well.
Sorry. So there's going to be two different SKUs. Apparently, there's Lockhart, a lower-powered one. That's the code name. And then a code name Anaconda, which is the Scarlett that we've largely been thinking of, that is reportedly 5 times more powerful than the X. Lockhart is similar to the S, where it doesn't have a disk drive and sacrifices some of that power, but is still...
Similar to the SAD.
Yeah.
The SAD, not the S.
Yeah. And then the Scarlett is the true next gen experience of
the Anaconda.
Anaconda.
See, we're doing it already.
Yeah.
It's a
Scarlett's the umbrella, Lockhart, and then Anaconda are the sub structures.
So Kotaku is reporting that that Lockhart is either back on the table, or it turns out perhaps it was never off the table. Because when the next gen rumors first started up, this is exactly what it was. Is that there were two Xbox consoles. And then it seemed like Microsoft kind of quashed that and it was just going to be one. But no, it is looking like it is, in fact, two. So they're targeting 4K 60 for everything on Anaconda and 1440 60 on Lockhart. So there will be the difference between this and... Because remember, the Xbox 360, Microsoft's most successful console ever, launched with 2 SKUs. But the actual box was the same. The technical capabilities was the same. It was just one had a hard drive and one didn't. So now,
the arcade.
The arcade,
edition.
exactly right, and the Pro.
So with that in mind, this is basically one does 2K, one does 4K.
Exactly. That's a great way to think about it. They'll both be obviously improved over what we've got now, certainly, and
and Ryan, you said 1440. I think you mean 120. I think the consoles don't do 144.
1440p resolution, so as opposed to 2160p.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
no,
okay.
you had it right.
Yeah, sorry.
No, we're good. So yeah, it's but the SSD, the trying to eliminate load times, that will apparently all be part of Lockhart as well. So you'll still get a pretty darn next gen experience from what we know so far, but it's just not going to be as good, as technically good as the Anaconda, but the price will also reflect that.
Yeah.
Right.
What that price is remains to be seen, and that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about is, what do you think about what we're looking at for pricing structure on these, and is this a good idea? We live in a smartphone world where there are 4 iPhones that come out every year. Is this definitely bucks tradition in the console space? What do you guys think?
Okay, I'll start.
Do it.
I think I have a lot of thoughts. Like, you would think, your gut reaction is like, this is an excellent idea, right? Like, they're going to be able to release a cheaper console out the gate. So if PlayStation 5 only has their Anaconda equivalent, that's what they're going to go with. When you read over those specs, I combed through Windows Central yesterday. It seems like it's got to be like a $500 console.
Which one?
At the cheapest.
The PS5 or the
PS5 and Anaconda.
Anaconda, exactly.
Like 500 out the gate.
I agree.
$499.99.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just
The correct answer.
Yeah. Save the penny. It's got to be. That thing is beefy. It's like 12 teraflops.
Right.
That thing is nuts.
And $500 has it is the established precedent now from the Xbox One X.
And that's a totally fine price for a closed box system that's that powerful. That's really, really cool. But it's tough because, if they come out and they're like, okay, so we have the Anaconda and then we have the PlayStation 5 and then we have the Lockhart. Yeah, it's really weird to think that you can get a technically next-gen console for $350. Like, who knows what it's going to be?
Yeah.
But it's going to be a little bit cheaper because it's more equivalent to the X.
If one's $350 and one's $499, that would be a really strong position.
That'd be
for
great.
Xbox
I mean, that's also great for people who want to do both the next PlayStation and Xbox.
Great
Like,
point.
There's people who want to do both.
Excellent
It's like, well, maybe they're primarily PlayStation gamers, and then they're like, okay, well, I can also get this because there's things that I want to try on Xbox, and like this is a decent investment for you to make a little bit later down the line. Or I was also thinking this is like a great starting point for people who don't really have 4K capabilities anyway. They want this next gen. They maybe don't either have the funds or would want to upgrade to whatever. Like, they're going to do another SKU however many years down the line, right? Like, okay, if they're willing to wait to upgrade to that anyway, then just go for the cheaper SKU. Like, if you're not having 4K, then you're still getting what you need out of it.
And part of this, by the way, I didn't mention is the word is that the Lockhart will not have a disk drive.
Right.
So you will be going digital and you will not have 4K Blu-ray capability. But
I cannot think of the last time I bought a disc.
Well, and with the new consoles, it makes it even, not the new consoles, the new Xbox consoles, because they're touting this possible feature that xCloud is going to make it where if you're like, okay, I want to buy Red Dead Redemption 3, you buy the game, you're instantly going to be able to start streaming the game using xCloud while your game downloads in the background.
Yeah.
And then, presumably, an hour or two later, when that's done, your thing will pop up into 4K.
Later.
I mean, sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
if you got gigabit internet. The thing I'm worried about, though, is the new consoles. That sounds great for the consumer in a more, and I'm not going to say that they're short-sighted. I would never say that. But the thing I'm worried about is like the Xbox One X is a fantastic console that we'll never see the potential of because everything that's made for the One X still has to fit on this VCR console from 2013, right? Every Anthem, Odyssey, that all has to run on people's original giant chunky black Xbox. So the Lockhart, which is fantastic, 5 years later, every developer is still going to have to try to make games for this lower powered system. So I think it's great.
They actually have talked about this at Microsoft and how they make it really easy for scalability, at least to Project xCloud. And I'm wondering if they're going to use that xCloud technology to help facilitate
but that's
the older
and
that's
console.
scaling, and I don't know. Scaling worries me. There's 4K and then there's 1080 scaled to 4K.
I think you're both right. I mean, and we did see this with Scorpio, the X, where it is proprietary hardware. It's not just sort of off-the-shelf AMD stuff the way that the original Xbox One was. And the X does inherently make things better, but yes, developers, of course, still have to put in additional work. And then, you are still ultimately anchored down by the core system. And in fact, so this was Kotaku deserves the credit here. They initially reported all this, and they write, game developers will be expected to support both Anaconda and Lockhart, which some are worried might hamper their ambitions for next-gen games in the coming years. Exactly to your point, Mark.
Right, so they get
point.
They get this huge Anaconda, and they get all these 12 terablops of specs. We'll call them terablops now.
I'm good with that.
And it's like, you don't have to scale down anything. And then it's like, oh, but we also have this cheaper thing, and that is always going to exist during the life cycle of the Project Scarlett. You know what I mean? Like, this comes out in 2020, so let's say the life cycle is till 2026 or 2027. Yeah. The Lockhart is always going to be a system that they have to support in 2026. Yeah. It's a little worrisome that out of the gate, there's already a console that's going to hamper what these new... It makes the super powerful consoles seem less powerful right out of the gate, in my opinion.
I mean, I hear you, and we've been hearing about a breaking down of generational barriers with Microsoft and the future of Xbox, and that games will actually continue to support Xbox One for a while. Yeah. Halo Infinite is supposedly coming to Xbox One as well. I wonder if that's going to be day and date in the fall of 2020 or not, but maybe. what Lockhart can help do if we want to try to take a more optimistic look at it. Because again, I think your concerns are valid. I think your concerns are valid, but
that's not even something I thought about. And it's like, oh, that's a really great point. And that is.
But hopefully, inevitably, developers will stop supporting Xbox One, and then Lockhart can become the new floor.
Sure.
Rather than Xbox One. So effectively raising the floor, while also obviously raising the ceiling with the Anaconda.
Here's the thing. Having older SKUs has not impacted PC gaming. They still support across various graphics cards and RAM requirements as long as you meet those minimum requirements. So their minimum requirements are set at the Xbox One standard, right? So their game needs to be able to support that, and if it supports that, it can run all the way up to the max settings, and it just scales based on that. It's like setting your graphics settings in every PC game that we play, right? You set it to low, medium, high. Well, you're going to get the low version if you got a standard, but if you want the beefy stuff, you want the Anaconda version of the Project Scarlett.
Sure. I mean, you got to think in 2013 is when these consoles came out. I don't know what video card was relevant in 2013, but can you imagine a scenario where Red Dead 2 comes out on Steam and they say, by the way, this needs to look great on the 2080 Ti, but it also needs to work on the GTX 960. You know what I mean?
I mean, they have their minimum system requirements. They do exactly what you just described.
Sure, but I would love to see a computer running on like a 960. Something that's 8 years old. I'm sure it's. But the developer's not held to it either. They can be like, you know what, we're done with these, where they always have to make Red Dead 2 had to work on my launch PS4. Like, it had to.
And
they don't have a choice.
So, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is hopefully the Lockhart will help accelerate the sunsetting of the Xbox One as a supported platform for major titles as we move forward. Do you see what I'm saying?
I think what would put me more at ease, and I don't think that they would do this, is if they release the Lockhart for something crazy like $300, and then in 2024 they were like, no more Lockhart support. Like now Anaconda is the base.
You never. I mean, we are living in a changing console ecosystem where, I don't know if we're going to see a 7-year life cycle again.
What year did the One launch?
2013. So it is going to be 7 years between proper generations, and of course with the Xbox One X as a step in between, a half step.
Yeah. I would be stunned if they pulled support for the Lockhart 4 years after launch. That's just...
Oh, I would be too. That's why I don't... That's what makes me less excited about the idea of a Lockhart is...
What phone do you have?
The iPhone X.
You have the X.
Which is 2 years old now.
Yeah. So that was top of the line when it was released, right? I waited that generation to the next one, and I think there were 3 SKUs for the iPhone when that was released. The S, the XR, and the whatever,
Max,
Max,
right? The big one.
Yeah. I went XR, middle of the road, and I love my phone. I wasn't worried about the 3-lens camera. If I want to take proper photos, I will take a proper camera and go take proper photos. But I'm totally satisfied with what my phone is able to do with photography. With this, I think there are gamers out there and players who are less concerned about that 4K fidelity that we discussed. And I don't
100%.
I don't see developers pulling support for them because it can't do 4K. It seems to me like it would be easy to downscale to something as close to 4K as 2K, as opposed to like I would be more worried about the Xbox One standard than the Lockhart versus the Anaconda.
Well, at this moment, yeah, but the Xbox One standard's about to be obsolete. It's going to be, it's not...
support it for a little while, though.
Well, I mean, like, as far as, like, technology goes, like, that would be a 7-year-old console with 3 new consoles in front of it.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, I feel like you could... I guess what I'm worried about is I think it's going to be less about... I'm not a game developer, so I don't know. But it's like, I think... If I had to assume, it's less about let's make this super powerful game for the Anaconda, take everything we can to make this game look great on this, and then scale it down for Lockhart. I think it goes more the other way. Let's make what we can for the Lockhart, and then we'll just scale it up for Anaconda, which makes Anaconda seem like it's running older games. Because that's what,
I hope you're wrong.
that's what I have to
I mean,
assume.
here's the thing too: is like we're not game developers, so
Yeah,
it's
100%.
almost unfair for us to assume.
It's like I'd
people are doing.
want to talk to a developer and be like, hey, does it
How do you look at
suck
this?
that the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One still exist, or would you love to just make games for the Pro and the X?
I think you guys have made a lot of compelling points. The one concern I have, and again, it's Microsoft right now is they have been in the multi-year process of walking the walk rather than instead of just talking the talk. And where I'm going with this is Microsoft has been, I think messaging this is going to be critical, messaging it well.
Yeah.
And because this may inherently be confusing to the market at large of, wait, there's 2 new Xboxes. Which one should I get? Okay, one's more. So, I think Microsoft's just going to have to be very, very clear about, we talk in hindsight about how Microsoft messaged the Xbox One very defensively because they were set back on their heels by the public reaction to it and the mistakes they made and the Sony's going on the offensive of here's how to share games with your friends on PlayStation. Here, have a disc. All that stuff. Microsoft had to just play. They were on their heels. They were on defense the whole time. So they have struggled with messaging, and they've been doing a lot of stuff right over the last 3-4 years, and they're gonna have to message this right. They're gonna have to do a good job of explaining not why one's better than the other, but how either of them can be awesome for you, and here are the strengths of each one, and really play from showing the strengths rather than what they can do rather than what one of them can't do.
Sure.
So that's going to be on them.
That said, I'm
figure
very excited. Next year is going to be a crazy.
It's going to be so much fun.
Next year's going to be cool.
I think it's like I'm really excited for the Lockhart in particular, not because I want it, but because I think my siblings could get it. Like they maybe have one console, like my brother's mostly PC, so it's like I could like just make them get this a little bit easier if it's cheaper, and then I can play games with them.
Yeah.
So like that's like the idea here, right? It's like that excited idea that more people could have access to this.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%. I play games with my wife all the time, and we just upgraded her from the launch PS4 to a PS4 Slim because she doesn't care. She just wants a PS4.
Sure.
She doesn't need the Pro, and the Slim was $200. And so if I'm gonna go get an Xbox, I'm going to want an Anaconda, right?
Of course.
You're
on this show.
We want the powerful
Yes.
console. But someone like her, exactly like what Miranda's saying, she's just going to be like, yeah, I don't, just give me the cheaper one. As long as I'm able to play games with you, just give me the cheaper one. It's fine.
Price, what do you guys think? Give me a quick hot take. We don't know a ton about these. We have a little bit to go off of, not a lot. Anaconda price versus Anaconda and Lockhart price. Destin, what do you think?
$399 and $499.
I could see that. Mark?
It's fair. I'd love to say $350 and $5, but $350 is barely more expensive. That's like what the X is retailing at right now.
Yeah.
So I think probably 4 and 5 as well.
Miranda, you agree or you feel differently?
I agree, but I'll say $350 to be the weird one.
Nice. I'm on board with that. Yeah, I think 4 and 5 sounds about right.
Yeah.
You make a good point, Mark.
If it's 3 and 4, man.
No, it's not
That
going to
would
be
be
3
insane.
and 4. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see the Anaconda going over 5. Granted, I'm the guy who thought that 5 was a bad idea for the X, and I was completely wrong about that. So, but yeah, 5 feels like the established. Like here's what
that's your cap.
That's the top end. That's what gets you the top end console on the market.
Because PS3 was what $599, and people were like, "Get out of town."
That's when you start entering second job territory.
That's as Sony told us to do at the time. Get a second job.
Get a second job.
And that did not go well for Sony.
Yeah, it's
so
just
everybody
like-
learned from that.
Rude.
Yeah.
It's not what you do. Don't say that.
So and $499 it didn't go well relative to the $399 of the $500 Xbox One didn't go well up against the $400 PS4
You have to assume
at the
they're
time,
going to come out at the same price.
Definitely. Because they're going to be, by all accounts, from what we've heard from developers so far, pretty close. I don't think we're going to see one drastically more powerful or less powerful than the other one.
I'm hoping for $350 only because
for Lockhart, of course.
For Lockhart because I don't know. It's tough when you're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You reach this weird threshold where you're like $400 for a Lockhart. If it's $350, you're like, okay, cool. That's like 3 games I can get. Like opposed to
from what you're
getting
saving. Yeah.
Opposed to getting an Anaconda with no games, right?
Yeah.
But it's like I feel like once you get to 400, once you're in those hundreds, you're like, I might as well go 500 and get the better console. You know what I mean?
I think 350 is possible because
that's what I would
because
hope
we would absolutely see a price cut of the Xbox One X as soon as it's not the top end thing anymore. I mean, it's what I think it's officially 450 now, or is it officially down to 4?
I think it's officially down to 4.
Is it?
But I think it's also hard to not find it on a deal for $350.
Right. So yeah, it could easily go down to 3, and then we've already seen the S. You can get it for 200 in a lot of deals. So yeah, I mean I think there is room in the kind of pricing structure there for potentially those price cuts, and then Lockhart to come in at 350, which would be a heck of an entry point into next generation gaming.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Speaking of Project Scarlett. The first one is out in the wild, and it belongs to Phil Spencer. Not a surprise there. Phil taking to Twitter saying, quote, "And it started. This week, I brought my Project Scarlett console home, and it's become my primary console, playing my games, connecting to the community, and yes, using my Elite Series 2 controller, having a blast. Great work by the team. 2020 is going to be an incredible year."
What a tease.
This means
How dare you,
the
Phil.
console, the Scarlett, has been taped out, meaning all the specs, everything's locked and loaded. And, I'm sure the thing that Phil has at his house is probably a large
It's just like a
PC-ish.
computer,
Yeah,
yeah.
probably basically a PC-sized thing. But nevertheless, it's out there. He's connecting to stuff, and it works, and he's using the Elite Series 2.
There's a chance that if you play Halo 5, you could, or I know he plays a lot of Destiny.
He does.
You do Crucible, you kill someone who's running on a Scarlet.
That's true. I would think at this stage that his Scarlett's only effectively functioning as like an Xbox One X on cocaine, where it's just just high on his own supply there, because there aren't there's nothing that's out for him that would take full advantage.
I mean,
Sure.
he may have things.
They could push builds to him.
They've
though.
got-
But
He's got
he did say he's out there in the community, so he's playing current games as well.
Years
But you're right.
behind.
Yeah,
So
it's like
if he's playing Destiny,
if he's talking about this already, it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, he's probably
got those
playing
games.
a Halo Infinite build at home, maybe doing a little Forza Motorsport 8.
Yeah.
But if he's playing Destiny, he's playing the 30 frames per second. Yeah, it's not like because it's on a Scarlet,
Right.
suddenly, like
Yeah.
the game's locked. Like,
30 on console, yeah.
Right.
yeah.
But still cool to hear Phil come out and say that.
weird.
That was a fun little tweet on his part. He should come in here and talk about it.
yeah,
That's
maybe-
great.
He should
Phil.
bring in the
Maybe-
Scarlet.
Bring it on in. Let's see it.
Yeah, we won't say anything. It's fine.
All right. This next story is one I had given up all hope of ever being able to say this on Unlocked. So here we go. The Xbox is getting a simulation Major League Baseball game. Yes,
What?
you heard me correctly.
Wow.
I know you guys don't super care, but that's okay. You got to give me this one.
I care because I
John
know
Borba.
how much you care.
Yeah, I saw this news. I was like, Ryan must be so happy.
My mentions, I know it's I can actually say with a straight face, my mentions blew up last night when this was announced, which it was announced in a Major League Baseball press release at like 6 p.m.
yeah.
So it was sort of on a Monday night, so sort of strange timing, but nevertheless, so you'll read it and you go, oh, okay, Sony and MLB have extended their licensing agreement. All right. And then the next paragraph, in addition, MLB The Show will now be coming to additional consoles as early as 2021. So
What other consoles could that be?
both Phil Spencer tweeted about it. The official Nintendo account tweeted about it. The official Xbox account.
Nintendo did the little baseball emoji, which was that's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
It's just a subtle acknowledgement that this is happening. And this is, I mean,
Their sales must have taken a hit by going platform exclusive.
well,
you're probably
no.
used
So,
at least
all right, let me give you the quick backstory for this. So, the entire scenario that we're in right now with pro sports, with baseball, goes back to EA signing the exclusive Madden deal for football. And I know you're like, how the hell are you? Let me walk you through this.
I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, EA has been making Madden for 25 years. Then 2K came in and Visual Concepts and started making NFL 2K, and it got really good. And they were always the underdog. Madden was the establishment, and NFL 2K got arguably better, became a better game than Madden. And there was one year, it might have been 2K5, can't quite remember, where they said, we're going to put this game out at $20. I don't know if you guys remember this, but 2K's NFL game, they said, we need to get people looking at this. We have a great game. So we're going to put it out at $20. Right after that, EA signed an exclusive deal with the NFL so that 2K could no longer make football games. In response, here's where I'm taking you on this walk. It's just more corporate stuff, whatever. 2K signed an exclusive baseball license with MLB that said that it was basically to keep EA from putting out MVP Baseball, which was on the original Xbox and the PS2, and was the best baseball game.
That'll show them.
So anyway, time goes by. MVP goes away. 2K successfully kills it. But the arrangement of that contract was that first parties could still make a Major League Baseball licensed game if they wanted to. So Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo all held options to make baseball games with the Major League Baseball license. Only Sony took them up on it. And the show was born, and over many years, it's taken a long time, but the show got great. MLB The Show has been for a number of years now. Yes, it is the only simulation baseball game, but it's a tremendous one. It's been great for a long, long time. Microsoft could have made one this whole time, and so could have Nintendo. EA couldn't, but Microsoft could have. But it's obvious why they chose not to. Baseball is I love it. It's a great sport. I love it, but baseball does not have a lot of appeal outside of the U.S. So when you're spending millions and millions of dollars every year to make a video game, you want to be selling to the world, not just to one territory.
It's not like FIFA.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So the bottom line is neither Microsoft nor Nintendo thought it was worth the investment to spin up a team and go year after year trying to not only build a baseball game, but build one that's as good as the show, because the show's had years to get awesome, and it is. So here we are. That last night MLB extends their deal with Sony, but it's going to come to other consoles now, which this is like the most M. Night Shyamalan twist ever. I never would have thought this is how this would happen, because I think it's pretty fair to read into this that Sony did not volunteer to do this. So why would Sony voluntarily give up a first-party exclusive? Sure, they're going to make more money, but it seems pretty obvious that MLB said, "Hey, you guys have a great game. We want to keep working with you, but we need our brand out on all the platforms. Yeah, we have this RBI baseball thing we make, but that's not the show. So we will extend our agreement with you, but you gotta put it out on Switch and Xbox as well." And here we are. I never would have thought of this possibility, but it does make a ton of sense, because Sony will make more money because they'll get a cut of every copy on Xbox and on Switch, just like Microsoft makes money on every copy of Minecraft sold on Nintendo.
It's so weird. I was just thinking about Minecraft.
Minecraft Bedrock thing coming to PlayStation 2?
Yeah.
It's ready to go.
So Sony wins by making more money. Xbox wins, obviously, by not only they get a great game on their platform, and it's a great baseball game, something they didn't have. Nintendo, same thing. MLB wins because the baseball brand is in front of every gamer instead of just PlayStation gamers. And most of all, baseball fans win, regardless of what platform you play on, because now you can get the best video game baseball, best baseball video game since MVP Baseball 2005 is now going to be available on the Switch and on the Xbox. And this is, it's just so great. To put this in perspective for Xbox fans specifically, the last sim baseball game on an Xbox platform was MLB 2K13 for the 360.
Wow.
The Xbox One has not had a simulation baseball game. So that's how long it's been, an entire generation. Scarlett will not suffer the same fate. The press release says that that MLB The Show, the move, the branching out will come as early as 2021. So the reality is, so it comes out in March every year, spring training, beginning of the season. MLB The Show 20 is effectively almost done.
Right.
They've got a couple more months.
Happen fast enough.
Yeah, it's basically almost done. So I guess just they've left the door open for, hopefully it'll be next year's, meaning 2021, March 2021's game, which will be right at the beginning of the Scarlett PS5 generation. Or, I guess they've left the door open with that wording there. If they can't hit that deadline and they need more time, maybe it would be 2022. But it's coming, it's happening, and yeah, it's a huge deal for baseball fans. But just in the general game industry, this is a big deal because this is Sony putting a Sony-developed first-party exclusive on their rival platforms, and this is just not a thing that's happened before.
It's very interesting starting to see each of these major companies start to work together just a little bit. You see it more and more now.
Even if MLB was the one with the gun to Sony's head.
We don't know how voluntary it was, but it does seem like Sony's one that's been holding on everything as far as
crossplay.
We will reluctantly join crossplay and say, yes, it is better together, and kind of be the last one to join all these things. So it is interesting to see this is another big shift too.
Yeah.
So Sony has changed a lot of their strategies this year. It's I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know if it's an ideology shift, but they've been opening up more. And something's going on over there.
I mean, there's been some shakeups with peoples in certain positions too. So yeah,
There sure has been.
Yeah, and
that's changing.
I'm really happy too for Sony San Diego, the developer. Ramon Russell, who's one of the leads there, one of the designers, comes in every year and shows me the new game. And, it's coverage that I to date have only been able to do for IGN's PlayStation audience. And he's a great guy, and I love seeing him every year. It's one of my favorite times of year when it's like, oh, if Ramon's here, that means I get to see the show, and it's almost baseball season.
And next year, you're like, Xbox.
Yeah, please bring the Xbox
When
version.
you make your article, you get to click the Xbox little square thing.
That's right. I get to check those other boxes. But
You did it.
It's
Home run.
Not that.
really,
Thanks, Destin.
really knocking it out of the park.
Miranda, you got one?
No.
You might say, now that it's on all consoles, the bases are loaded.
Oh my gosh.
That's good.
The only thing I remember at
good.
baseball, or the thing that I enjoyed most, was going to get the cheesy fries and a little baseball hat.
There you go.
I used to go to Rangers games in Texas. When I was a
Hot
kid.
dogs. Hell yeah. Oh, I've been to a Rangers game.
Oh, well,
That's one of
we
the
both
only
live in
games.
Texas.
Yeah.
They are moving into a new stadium this year.
It's so weird.
With a dome. Yeah, a retractable roof because it's hot there.
Makes me a little sad.
Yeah, it is kind of.
The heat.
Their ballpark wasn't even that old. It was only 20 years old.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was publicly financed, which is I'm not a big fan of. But public money should not go to billionaires, in my humble opinion. But that's a story for another podcast. What was I going to say? Oh, not that Sony San Diego was in any danger at all. I mean, the MLB The Show has been selling very, very well every year, but this just will be tremendous additional job security for Sony San Diego because they're going to be locked in. They know they're going to be making a very successful baseball game for
the rest of their life.
But they've got. I mean, having the Xbox and Nintendo audience and possibly PC. We don't know on the PC side yet because. The press release specifically said additional consoles. It didn't mention PC, but hopefully a PC version as well.
They would have said platforms.
Yeah. But in any case, it's even more job security for the San Diego team, which is always a good thing. They know they can, even if Sony's tide turns and they make a ton of mistakes and totally tank in the next generation, I know it's highly unlikely, but look what happened to Microsoft. But even if PlayStation goes in the toilet inexplicably, they'll be able to make this. They're going to be making this game for a much larger audience. So it should.
Yeah, they don't have
it's
to.
good news for them.
They don't have to like fret about what one company does.
True. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly right. Exactly right. So this completely took me by surprise last night when this news broke, and I've been just on cloud nine ever since. Speaking of clouds, Destin.
Yeah.
Great transition.
See, that is good. I set it up for you, and now you're just sitting there with your arms folded.
I'm cold.
You're never gonna make that bonus
Yeah.
money without the same.
2K Games has announced another new studio, Cloud Chamber, and what do you think they're working on, Ryan?
They told us, thankfully. Ren, are you a big BioShock?
Yes.
I thought so.
I love BioShock.
So do tell, what have we got going on here?
So this is a very interesting thing. 2K has started a new studio called Cloud Chamber, as we just mentioned, and they're going to make the next BioShock.
They've owned the rights this whole time.
Yeah.
Ken Levine, an irrational kind of irrational, sort of went away, but then kind of morphed into they've
Campfire.
yeah, and they kept a small handful of people, and they're working on some new thing for a long time now that we have yet to see. But BioShock has been just kind of in a coma, I guess, or
Yeah.
for a while.
I think that's fine. I think it's really cool to see them spinning up a whole new studio just to make this game. Not necessarily that they're going to be only making BioShock, which is
Right.
good. I don't know. I'm not always a fan of like, we're making this one studio to make this one kind of game forever. It's like, maybe let them have some little flexibility there. But at least their very first game will be a new BioShock game.
Yeah.
They announced this and said, that's what we're making. It's very far away.
Yes, several years. They said it will be in development for the next several years, and there's sort of the studio is in two places. It's headquartered in Nevada, which is here, which is where 2K
Mark was
Yeah.
just there.
corporate.
I was just there 2 days
Yeah,
ago.
for the
Hey, Mark, what's the green damage in Borderlands 3?
Oh my god.
Is it corrosive?
Some guys giving me some crap on Twitter.
Oh, inside joke right there. And then the other part of the
YouTube.
studio is in Montreal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the studio will be headed by Kelly Gilmore, who's a Firaxis veteran. So from within the 2K family, Firaxis, the makers of XCOM and, of course, Sid Meier's Civilization. So a very successful, very decorated studio. Kelly is coming over and is going to head up the BioShock effort, along with, no doubt, a team that she will be staffing up, obviously, between those two cities. And yeah, as you guys just mentioned, it's going to be in development for, quote, the next several years. No platforms, no release date. We don't know if it's a sequel, a reboot, a continuation of anything. And yes, we did ask. And we
no logos. No.
Yeah.
nothing.
We got the Cloud Chamber logo.
Obviously, it is a Scarlett title, certainly, because we won't be seeing it until well into the Scarlett generation. And yeah, what I found strange about this is, and it's just if you think about it, by the time several years, okay, well, this is the end of 2019. That means by the time this comes out, we'll have gone a full decade between BioShock releases. Infinite was spring of 2013.
Wow.
So there'll be effectively a whole new generation of gamers who don't even know what BioShock is.
Maybe.
So it's up to Cloud Chamber to now define that and what that's going to look like.
If you don't know what BioShock is, grab the BioShock collection for Xbox One or PS4 because that game is awesome.
Well, all three of them.
Well, yeah, okay. The collection is awesome because it's just like scaled up textures, 60 frames per second. It's a great collection.
It's 1 to an infinite, right?
I don't know what I'd want them to do with the BioShock franchise from here. Like, I don't think a remake really makes
No.
sense. It's too soon
No,
for
please
that.
no.
The BioShock stands and still is excellent.
I mean, it's a game built on a massive story twist. So
Yes.
you remaking it probably isn't the way to go.
no.
Well, and I want to see what other settings, because Rapture is like, whoa, it's so weird. It's this whole underground
Right.
city,
Underwater, and then Columbia up in the
is
sky.
Up in the
I
sky,
don't
so it's
think
like
you can touch those places though. And like, but also like a landmark thing with BioShock is like the lighthouse. Like, how do you involve that? Like, where do you involve all these very inherent BioShock themes into another game? I mean, they did it with Infinite, but I don't know.
I mean, the ending of
could be.
Infinite does kind of allow them to do anything.
To do a lot
There's
of
always
things.
a lighthouse.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm also like, I don't know. It's this the series is really special to me. So I always get a little weird. I'm like, are you sure you guys need to make another one? Like, I think I'm one of the very few people who are like, it's okay for things to end.
Yeah.
It's okay to be done. And then just remember those things.
Bad news for you, Miranda.
They're making another one anyway.
Years ago, 2K's president, I think it was, said that BioShock is one of their permanent franchises.
I remember that. Yeah.
It will not be going away anytime soon. I think the one location, the one place I don't want to see BioShock go is space.
Me too.
Only because there are a billion other space games, and Rapture was so unique and Columbia was so unique.
Well, and the idea is like somebody doesn't like living in this like society that the world has built, and so they take this like completely impractical and yet practical approach to leaving. Like space isn't practical, but building a city underwater, well, not possible. Is like
it's fantastical.
It's kind of this like weird.
Yeah.
Someone is crazy enough to do it, and then same thing with Columbia. Like, hey guys, we're gonna build our own city by getting these hot air balloons and going into the sky. You wouldn't be able to breathe up there, but okay.
Well, they've got it. They're fine.
They figured it out.
They're doing it.
That city didn't only go into chaos. It's fine. I mean, but that's such a big thing too, right? It's like, where do you take the next thing? Like, how do you keep on building on that without taking away from like that magic of what it has? So I don't know. I'm very curious, but I totally agree. I don't want space.
I will say, I think Kelly and the team at Cloud Chamber will stand a very good chance of being able to hire, like effectively having their pick of the litter, because I think a lot of developers out there would probably jump at the chance to redefine BioShock and to work on this and join this new team and be able to sort of figure out what that new definition of BioShock is.
Right, and this is going to set a foundation for everything they do with that series going forward, so it'll be really interesting.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Control, which, by the way, as we announced today, IGN's Game of the Year. I voted for it. I was very happy to do so. Congratulations to Remedy, to the entire Remedy team. There's a little news story. Before I do want to talk about your Game of the Year votes, because I know we had a few kind of contenders there this year, but specifically to Control, this is a sort of a strange story. Aside from our Game of the Year award, is it might be coming to Game Pass, but
I made a mistake and said it was on Game Pass, and then somebody else made a mistake on a stream. I think Phil maybe. And
well, that's the thing. It was Phil Spencer himself. Yeah.
So I hope he didn't listen to this show and think it was on Game Pass, and then go say it was on Game Pass, and then have to do this retraction. No. I misspoke a few weeks ago. I thought it had been, but it wasn't.
Well, but Phil, okay. I mean, Phil
he
knows
did the same mistake.
Yeah. Yep. Well, but is it though? So Phil went on a live stream for Extra Life, and he said Control was coming to Game Pass. So he said he was talking about his games he liked in this year, and he said, I thought Control was really good. It didn't reach enough people, so I'm glad to see that it's coming into Game Pass so that more people will play it. I mean, that's a pretty clear cut. There's
Control
not a lot of
is 1,000% coming to Game Pass.
There is not a lot of ambiguity
Not a
there.
doubt.
But then Remedy, the developer, took to Twitter and posted this. The information about Control coming to Xbox Game Pass, as reported on a recent Mixer stream, is incorrect. Remedy wrote, we have no news or announcements regarding Xbox Game Pass at this time. Translation, hey, head of Xbox.
Shouldn't have said that.
But it's just, so if you parse that very carefully, they just say, we have no news or announcements at this time.
At this time. The key phrase.
It's effectively killing their Christmas sales. Like, Christmas is 3 weeks away. A lot of people are going to get Control under the tree unless
I hope so.
Savvy people find out. Yeah, well, like, let's just say they are. Savvy people are like, whoa, never mind. It's coming to Game Pass. Sorry, little Jimmy. You're not getting Control. We're not going to buy it because we're just going to get it on Game Pass when it comes out in January.
But Uncle Mark, I wanted Control.
Too bad. Game Pass. Here's a Game Pass code.
It's just a code.
I'm the cool, fun uncle.
You got me 25 alphanumeric characters? You're a terrible uncle. I hate you.
Can we please figure out the 5x5 codes for Scarlett? They are way too long.
Well,
just scan the QR code with your Kinect, Mark.
You
Come on now.
Just copy it in email and paste it into Xbox.com, redeem code.
Yeah.
That's a
type it
smart
out.
way.
Yeah.
That's how I do most of them. But the review codes that we sometimes, well, I don't get many of them for Xbox, but you got to do the code, then you got to do the other
unlock
code.
That's
the unlock
50
code.
digits.
And you have to do it
fine,
on the
guys.
console because it doesn't often work when you utilize
Right.
the website.
It's fine.
Wah.
It's fine.
Wah.
What's PlayStation 9?
It's 12.
12?
4x3s. 3x4s.
I think
Sorry.
Steam is
It's a
relatively
small
short.
price to pay
Anyway.
to not pay a
so
price
how about Control?
for a video game.
Anyways, yes, I think it's one of those things where it's like it's coming in probably January.
Thank you, Bill.
And they're like, hey, we still have a few weeks before Christmas that we should be selling copies of Control.
I mean,
Don't announce it on Game Pass yet.
my guess, and this is just a guess, is we do know that Sony had a marketing arrangement with
Right.
Control. It has been, Sony's been giving it a little push since release. Perhaps that arrangement ends when the calendar flips to 2020, and so perhaps that's when this will get announced. Because Phil Spencer, of all people, is not one to misspeak like this.
Sure.
Like it's his. He would know if it's.
Right.
It's like if he says it is. It's. I doubt he's making that up or confusing it for another game. So.
No.
I was confused. Don't pay attention to me.
Philip Spencer, a man who's probably in 1,000 meetings a day.
True.
Just,
but he's a smart.
chilling. No, what I'm saying is like he's chilling on an extra live stream and then forgets that of those thousands of meetings, that was one of the things he probably shouldn't have said.
Well, that may entirely be possible. So the point is, play the game. It is our game of the year. It's fantastic. I love it. I love all of Remedy's games, and this one is just super special. I was really sad to see. We talked on the show before about how it's a AAA game that was put out from a publisher that had a C-tier marketing budget, so it's just tough for them to get the word out and tell everyone how great this game is. Marketing works.
Yeah.
It's
When people know about your game, that's usually pretty helpful.
Exactly right. So whether you buy it or whether you do hold out and hopefully it does come to Game Pass, boy, I hope you play it. Now, do you guys mind revealing your ballots for Game of the Year?
What were our choices?
No, it's
again?
fine. I just looked them up, so I can.
Well, do you remember what?
You guys don't
Did you
remember?
vote? Were you able to vote this year, Destin?
I don't think they. I don't think I got the email or.
Oh, maybe
whatever, so I don't know
because
who
you work on sponsored stuff. Or?
No, I did the nominees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what would you have voted for? What was your pick?
So do you want me to just read them really quick? Resident Evil, Slay the Spire, Sekiro, Outer Wilds, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Disco Elysium, Outer Worlds, Pokemon Sword and Shield,
Said
Jedi
Outer
Fallen Order.
Well, I think I know what Miranda's voted for.
And then Control.
Yes.
Like none of those would have got my game of the year. Maybe Sekiro.
Yeah?
I haven't played so many of those, to be honest.
It's fair.
So,
I mean, it was a very strange year in that it was kind of just an eclectic. There were a lot of really great games, but there wasn't a Red Dead Redemption or a God of War.
It's weird.
This year. It was just there were a lot of great games, but nothing that was sort of a masterpiece. Nothing we gave a 10 to this year. That
I think even our winner was a very close vote, and then
it was.
the following up for those, there was like several ties for like third and fourth place.
I think my personal list was like Apex, Sekiro,
Okay, yeah.
Star Wars, Gears of War 5.
Yep.
I think those were my four
Yep.
personal nominees. Borderlands was good. The storytelling was pretty weak. Destiny 2 Shadowkeep is just more Destiny. Like, I didn't feel like it innovated. But I might have given the nod to Apex just because it kind of like gave a push forward to the Battle Royale genre at the top of
Absolutely.
the year.
It did win Best Shooter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think, it just won Best Shooter.
Yeah, my ballot was so I was sort of torn between Control, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Jedi Fallen Order, and Gears 5. And it was so there just wasn't one of those that was an obvious pick for me. But I super enjoyed all of them. Ended up going with Control, and I'm glad to see that it won. But I would have been happy with if any of those other three had won. I'd have been
Yeah, I don't
perfectly
think
happy.
Gears
for
5
them.
didn't make our list.
It didn't quite make the nominee list
Made
because
me
it's
very
which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. But not everything. Yes, it got a 9, but not every 9 gets nominated. It's
Call of
just,
This-
Duty also didn't make
it
our
did
list.
win our best
Yeah.
Xbox game of the year though.
Yeah.
And I know that was by default.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it
absolutely
not
deserve
deserving.
it,
Crackdown
though.
3 was not getting nominated,
Yeah.
not on my
Yeah.
watch, but Gears 5 was going to win that even if there'd been 17 other Xbox nominees. Just a tremendous game.
I want to hear what those guys voted or picked.
My personal Destiny 2 Shadowkeep for sure.
You liar.
Personal would be Borderlands 3.
Okay, yeah.
I loved Borderlands 3. And then I think my runner-up for that, for Game of the Year, would probably be Death Stranding, which, fun fact, won our People's Choice Game of the Year.
Good, cool, good for that game. Yeah, it was super divisive. Obviously, there were some, both critically and amongst the community as well. I mean, I've seen. I haven't been too near it because I haven't talked much about it, but even I've seen it in my timeline of some people just do not like that game, and some people absolutely love it.
Yeah, yeah. But as far as what we were given for our nominees, I went with Resident Evil 2.
Okay, yeah.
But I was torn between Resident Evil 2 or Slay the Spire.
Nice.
Slay the Spire is sick.
And Miranda, we know what you voted for, and good for you. You love the game. You've been championing it all year.
Dota 2.
Game of the Year
Don't be too
2019.
nice to me. Hey. I tried so hard to get that on the best ongoing game list, and they're like, oh, sorry, you were the only one who wanted it on there. And I was like, there's a reason for that. No one else plays
I
it.
tried getting
Anyway.
No Man's Sky on best ongoing as well.
Those sort of things are really hard. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Dota 2. People will get on to me about that.
Outer
Sorry.
Wilds, you voted
It was
for.
Outer Wilds, the
Yeah.
other game that I talk about all the time, this entire year. And kind of going back to the thing with Control, we're like, oh, well, if you don't have a marketing budget, if no one talks about it, no one's going to play it. And like that's kind of how I felt about Outer Wilds. And we have this platform where we can talk about games that we really love. It's on Game Pass. You can just download it and play it. It is such a phenomenal game, and it was absolutely my game of the year and one of my favorite games of all time.
Good stuff. Love hearing it. So see, and you can see right here, just on our panel of 4, we each voted for a different game for Game of the Year. So Control was our ultimate winner of the entire IGN team, and super deserving. Everybody, there's just great stuff from Remedy. Play it if you have not done so.
I've said this before, and I don't mean this negative, but it sounds negative when you say it. But this was a year for Control to win, and I think that's like really a good thing. Like the fact that usually there is this big AAA game that just steamrolls everything else. In a more even playing field, Control got what it deserved, and so I mean that in a good way.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it was
It's really
Like
tough.
last year, it would have been there would have been almost no one talking about it. Probably.
Sure.
Just
And like next year, you got.
I mean, someone else would have been I guess, parallel to me with Outer Wilds. Like someone
Right.
just, please play Control. Like someone would have had to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's like next year, it's like last year was like God of War or Red Dead, Breath of the Wild, and then next year you got Cyberpunk and Last of Us. It's like
and Halo and Doom Eternal.
and it's like you can kind of see from a mile out
Half-Life Alyx.
that a game like Control would probably get.
Yeah, I mean that's just the unfortunate reality of things.
Yeah.
There's too many great games at all times, and glad Control is getting its moment in the sun. It is well deserved. All right, finally, just some quick game announcing news. Remasters of Bayonetta and Vanquish are coming to Xbox One on February 18th, so just a couple of months away. It's going to be in a double pack for $40, or you could pick if you just want one. It's $25 for each of them. 4K 60 for those on Xbox One X. So if you either super love Bayonetta and or Vanquish or miss them, they are two of Platinum Games' very best titles. They're if you like, basically, if you're a Ninja Gaiden fan or a Devil May Cry fan, those sort of challenging fast action games, these are both two excellent examples of that genre.
Yeah, Vanquish is sick.
Untitled Goose Game, which is
In those
thank
honks.
you. It's PC and Switch up until now. It is coming to Xbox One and into Game Pass on the 17th of this month, so just a very short ways away.
Also, quick shout out. We have a very nice guide for that if you get stuck on any of the challenges.
Excellent.
You might. I did.
I've been wanting to play it. Like
it's pretty quick. You could do it in like
I know it's
a day.
like I know it's quick but I just haven't. It's on Epic Game Store and I don't have it. Like I just haven't bought it on there, and then Switch. So it's just like this way, this is the perfect way. I will now play it on Xbox.
I remember we
Absolutely.
got the review copy for Untitled Goose Game, and then Tom disappeared and came back and was like, I just wrote credits on Untitled Goose Game. I'm like, I barely got back from lunch. He's like, yeah, you can beat it in like 45 minutes.
But there's kind of some replayability.
Yeah,
to
well,
it,
once
right?
it's
Yeah.
over, there's like a whole new list. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, you also don't have to complete everything in an area before you can move on. So if you want to just like push through it, you
I
can.
think you definitely get some hours out of it.
Excellent.
Oh, for
Well,
sure.
check that out. Just in a week or so. And finally, Resident Evil 3 Remake. The rumor is now confirmed. Capcom announcing it'll be out, out April 3rd. John Borba celebrating in the corner over there. I know you probably would have voted for Resident Evil 2 for Game of the Year. Oh yeah, and what? Or Slay the Spire.
Oh my
Okay.
God, Borba. Me and you, buddy.
Just broing out over here. RE3 Remake. It appears to use the exact same engine as RE2 Remake, which is completely not a surprise, and that's a beautiful engine, a beautiful game. So it is going to be third person over the shoulder, basically very similar to, as far as form and function of RE2 Remake.
When they even call it out, there's a developer video, and they're
Yeah.
like, if you played Resident Evil 2, then you're good to go.
Yeah, and I watched that video. It was really good. So what's cool about this is it's out soon, relatively April 3rd. So just a short wait, about 4 months for that. In fact, less than 4 months.
Day before my birthday.
Excellent. You're a 4-4 boy?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
4-4-88. You double them, you get to 88. It's cool.
That's easy
That's
to
how I
remember.
always remember my birthday. No, it makes it so easy. And then you go to a European thing, and you're like, wait, do they want month or day? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
4-4.
You're good to
We're
go.
good to
Yeah,
go.
you're a palindrome.
I live a excellent life.
Yeah. And then what's neat about this though is remember that 4v1 Project Resistance thing that they showed off?
Sure do.
It's gone now. Oh.
No.
No, I'm kidding.
It's the multiplayer component of Resident Evil 3 Remake. So it's just
That's
part of
good.
it.
That's a good
which
way to
is
do it.
super cool. So I am 100% going to play this because I adored RE2 Remake. I never played Resident Evil 3.
Ooh, it's good.
Yeah. So, because that was always a PlayStation franchise, and I didn't have PS1, and then on PS2 I just never played the Resident Evils. So yeah, I'm looking forward. After RE2 got me going. I mean, I guess my first Resident Evil was 5
Wow.
on 360 when it came to 360.
Did you play 2? The remake?
Yeah, I told you I was
okay,
one of my
okay.
finalists for Game of the Year.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
It was on my
I
ballot.
zoned out. Thinking about Destiny.
So yeah, that is good news right there. All right, that is everything. We've got, let's see, just about 15 minutes left in the show, which is perfect.
We do?
I want to do the loot box because we did it but didn't do it we did it last week and no one heard it. So let's give Ken from Perth in Western Australia his due so he can actually hear this. He writes in this, with the success of Jedi Fallen Order, does EA now get a pass?
Now,
to
Wow.
you with their Star Wars
than
license.
last week.
Destin's ready to go. I like this. So he says, I just wish we had more Star Wars games. He loves Rogue Squadron from back in the day, fond memories of the pod racing game for N64. He cites KOTOR as one of the best RPGs of all time. Destin, elaborate. This is a legitimate question. Does Jedi Fallen Order and how great it is, and the fact that it's a single-player game with no microtransaction BS in it, does this give EA a pass for you at all with respect to how they have handled the Star Wars license up till now?
specifically about the Star Wars franchise, I mean, no, it doesn't give them a pass. It gives Respawn a pass, if anybody. The developer that took this vision and actually made it a compelling story with some fantastic gameplay elements. It's one of my games of the year, and I really, really enjoyed Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It sort of proved something that EA seems to have had a point of contention with over the last few years, and that's with storytelling.
Yes.
They've just been
fair.
killing storytelling game after storytelling game, and here comes Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's a lot of people's game of the year. It tells a fantastic story. It has excellent gameplay elements, and Respawn nailed it. So hopefully Respawn has smacked EA up the side of the head and said, let's start telling some great stories in games again.
Yes. Well stated. I like that. Mark, what say
I'm trying to remember what I said last week, but I think I remember saying that no, EA doesn't suddenly just get a pass. I think Jedi Fallen Order is good despite EA. I think
Ooh,
yes.
EA.
Look at you, salty.
I think EA has certain things that they feel like need to be in games: multiplayer functionality, Frostbite, loot boxes, and Jedi Fallen Order has none of those. It's built on Unreal and is single player and all that stuff. And I think the other thing I said, which is we shouldn't be surprised that Jedi Fallen Order is so good. Respawn has never made a bad game.
Correct.
Yeah,
that is
Respawn's
definitely correct.
just killing it this year. Like, I know they've obviously had some issues with Apex as far as microtransaction stuff, but
Yep.
that completely aside, like, they've just killed it. They've done such a great job this year.
But Apex is still good.
Yeah. Oh,
they
absolutely.
had a bad event, and they actually adjusted their strategy at the event following that. They're like, hey, we screwed up with the crown thing. So,
And they've been working on it. They've done like some really awesome other events that are not like any sort of paid thing. It's just like cool Halloween stuff that they've done. Anyway, that all aside, no, no, EA does not get a pass. It's really disappointing that it did take this long for them to be like, okay, we do have our cadence of other specific games, but they didn't do a whole lot creatively as far as like new kinds of games. And it took this long to get that, and that's not a pass. It's just like a good job, Respawn, but EA could have done a lot better with it.
It's been 6 years of EA's exclusive Star Wars license thus far, and to date, what they have to show for it is Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2,
Shout out to Mitch Dyer.
yes, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yep.
That is not a great output as far as
And a canceled Visceral game.
well, that's
And the Amy Hennig
twice
one.
canceled.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's it's. Do they get a pass? No. Do I want to dwell on it? No, because I think what hopefully the success, the critical and what I hope is commercial success of Jedi Fallen Order does is a couple things. One, it greenlights Jedi Fallen Order 2, which I think would make a ton of sense because Stig Asmussen and the Respawn team, they've got the team there.
That is the second team.
In place. Yeah, and they could absolutely roll. They've got all their Unreal molded technology that's tailored to what they need to do with it, with third-person lightsaber combat. So it would seemingly everything's teed up for them to greenlight another one, which they could absolutely get done in the next 3 years before their EA's exclusivity contract runs out. So that's one thing I hope happens. Number two, hopefully it will embolden EA to get more Star Wars games going, but particularly more narrative-focused Star Wars games, because you have Battlefront to cover the multiplayer side of Star Wars.
Yep.
And Battlefront, Battlefront 2 went through a lot of its own microtransaction, loot box fueled.
It's what kicked it off, basically.
Yeah, but the core multiplayer gameplay is excellent. You've got a lot of neat stuff in there, so there's no need to. You've got that. You've checked that box. Let's get some more great Star Wars stories, whether they're in role-playing form or action game form or point-and-click adventure form. Like, I don't care. Let's just get some more.
You know what?
Let the studios do something creative with that license. Like, you have it. Obviously, Battlefront's something people wanted, and like we do have a story element there. We have like multiplayer there, but there's so much more you could do with that. Like, games aren't just story or multiplayer. Like, there's all kinds of different stories you can play with that universe.
When I think about EA, I think about two of my favorite games of all time, Mass Effect 2 and the Dead Space series. The original Dead Space was absolutely fantastic. And even the Need for Speed series, like if you talk about racing games, has done fairly well, even under the EA umbrella. And I hope they sort of get back to that. I don't know what they've been just taking a weird direction the last 3 or 4 years, as has Activision, more towards this games as a service model and sort of trying to shoehorn in these odd mechanics. And it's
surprise
not
mechanics.
Yeah, and it's not working.
Not loot
There's
boxes.
been a tremendously large backlash against it when it's gross, and just knock it off and go back to making good games like you did with Respawn here.
Yeah, you've got Respawn, absurdly talented. You've got, Criterion, who had been on the Need for Speed games. Now that's sort of Ghost Games, which spun off from Criterion, has been working on that. Like, Criterion could make a new Rogue Squadron. I loved Rogue Squadron on the GameCube. That was a great game.
Yep.
Just outer space ship combat. Be great stuff. They've got there is plenty of talent in house, and then of course, KOTOR 3 should have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just
Who owns that license? Is it BioWare or is it EA?
What do you mean? The KOTOR?
KOTOR, they made the MMO headed out by BioWare, right?
Right. It's all been under the EA ban.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, the problem with a KOTOR 3 logistically is that KOTOR is not canon anymore. Mm-hmm. Everything got wiped after
so it
after
have
Disney
to be rebooted.
So anything made from this point forward is canon.
Is canon.
So it has to adapt new canon.
Yes.
So just call it KOTOR, but something else.
I don't like how BioWare has not been tasked with making a Star Wars role-playing game is insane to me.
But BioWare, we know, is still working on Anthem. We know they're developing Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like however many staff are still on Anthem.
You have the Star Wars license up until about 2023, to the best of our knowledge. Set Dragon Age aside, which you completely
That's like
own.
almost
you
done,
can
though.
Dragon Age?
Yeah.
It's several years. That's several years away too. Remember from the Game Awards teaser last year? They're like, "Oh yeah, this game's not even close."
Okay.
I just don't. Yeah,
it seems like it's pretty
just
far out.
put Dragon Age aside, and while we've got this window of time, put BioWare on a Star Wars role-playing game. I don't understand. Makes no sense to me. But
I think they do have one other thing they haven't announced in the works that we don't know about BioWare, but I don't.
That would be interesting because, to the best of my knowledge, they're a 2-team studio there. It's been the Anthem team, which had been the Mass Effect team, of course.
And the Dragon Age team.
Mass Effect, Dragon Age and Anthem. So we'll see. But yeah, that's the biggest travesty of all to me is BioWare right there. You can literally hand them the Star Wars license and say go, and that hasn't happened. It's a real shame.
I think Mark Dara would love that opportunity.
We'd all love it.
So Ken, it sounds like 4 no's.
Yeah, sorry, Ken. All right, thank you, Ken, for that loot box question. If you would like to send us a loot box question, which is just any old Xbox gaming question you want to pose to the panel for us to discuss, send it to unlocked@ign.com. That's also the same email address that you can send your Xbox trivia questions to. Even though our trivia contest is winding down for this year, next week is our last show of 2019, FYI. I'll need plenty more good trivia questions for when we get back and get going in 2020. So I have brought the trophy because it's possible it will be awarded today. If Miranda gets it wrong and Destin gets it right, that will secure the victory for Destin and will be another trophy on his desk. Miranda, no one wants that. Except Destin.
I want that.
I'm trying my best.
Miranda, no pressure, but I'm going to be furious if you...
Okay. Good thing I'm sitting next to you.
Look at that. Love that.
What?
Look at this guy.
I can't help it.
He's showing me Tesla stuff.
Oh, okay.
So software updates available. I'm going to get some new features while we podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Let's wrap it
Ryan.
up, boys.
All right. So, Unlocked Block Trivia Challenge. It's Destin's at 10 points and Miranda's at 9. Mark, you're playing for pride at 4 points. So
If I
here
could
we
give you
go.
my points,
And by the way, so apparently a lot of people missed my tweet about this. The show that we did last week but didn't get to air, Miranda did get it right, and Destin wasn't here. So I'm counting
I would
that.
have gotten it wrong because I told Mark my answer and he said
So
I got it wrong.
that is why Miranda is just 1 point behind now. So 10-9, and that question came from a person by the username of Gator Way. It was Halo Reach trivia. The name of the medal that's awarded at a 40 kill streak. And
It was unfriggin' believable.
correct.
Or something like
Correct
that? Yeah.
indeed. So here is this week's question with the trophy on the line. I really want this to go to the last week next year. Next week. So
yeah, I'm gonna try my best.
Brian Toglia, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. His gamer tag is Darkest One. Which of these original Xbox racers had a DeLorean knockoff featured in it? And a hint from me, it was on the cover of the game. It was on the box art. So I chose this thinking that it would be kind of an even playing field, that probably none of you would straight know it, and that it would just be a matter of trying to think your way through it or just roll the dice. So a DeLorean knockoff on the cover of this game for the original Xbox. Was it Midtown Madness 3, Burnout 2, Point of Impact was the subtitle on Burnout 2, if you don't recall, Midnight Club 3, from Rockstar, or Reckless, the Yakuza missions. So it is one of those four. I will go to No, I'm going to go to Mark first.
The one who has no skin in the game. Man, I have no idea.
Okay.
Of course. I'm going to go with, man, I don't know. I'm going to go with A for fun.
Midtown Madness 3.
Sure.
A very well-liked first-party Microsoft game way back in the day. Midtown Madness was originally a PC game, and then Midtown Madness came to Xbox. So, all right, that brings us to Miranda.
Okay. I only remember Project Gotham Racing, so this makes this very hard. I don't remember a lot of the other racers from the original Xbox. Just going to roll the dice.
All
I'm
right.
going to go Midnight Club 3.
Rolling the dice with the
Rockstar,
Midnight
please.
Club 3 DeLorean knockoff Destin.
Please have the knockoff. I don't think
know
so.
the answer.
Oh,
you
no!
know this one?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
are you
let's
kidding?
lay it on us.
It is Reckless, the Yakuza missions, D.
Damn it.
Final answer?
Final answer.
God damn it.
Destin, congratulations. The trophy is yours. That is correct.
I feel like I just need to go study OG Xbox stuff because I was so... Okay.
It was the
I was
first
very small.
racing game to have a DeLorean. And
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
I know.
That is congratulations
Obviously.
to Destin.
Congratulations,
our
Destin.
Unlock
Thanks.
Block Trivia Champion for 2019.
I love
Well
the
earned
trophy.
now.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
I
get-
kind of
I'm gonna
wanted it
get
to
you
go
next year.
to sudden death also.
get you
Now,
next
Miranda, there someone who wanted to just remain anonymous in our audience, just a kind soul, wanted to make a something for the runner-up. So we have this runner-up trophy right here.
That's
This,
perfect.
if you're not familiar, this is a DVD dongle
Yeah.
for the original Xbox that turned so you could use a remote control and use your original Xbox as a DVD movie player. So Miranda, that is for you
Oh, thank
from
you.
another kind soul in our audience.
That's cute. I love
I
that.
love this. Is a
So-
reminder that I kept losing this at home. And now I will remind, like, so it's like,
always
this is
have
the
one.
best thing. This is literally the best thing. So next year.
I think
I
you
think
have,
mine's still in my Xbox.
probably there was no reason to ever take it
Yeah.
out unless you're doing 4-player Halo.
Yeah.
I was going to say, could it go in like the 4-player
Yeah.
spot and just live there?
Yeah. Oh, that's
cool.
Yeah, that's where mine lived.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
yeah, good stuff.
Miranda, thank you for giving me a good run for my money.
Yeah,
this
thank
year.
you.
This
It
was
it was
fun.
a fun competition.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad it came down to almost the final week. It was a good competition all year. So, this is Unlocked Tradition now. I think is this the 4th year we've done this or 3rd?
I have 3 of it.
4.
It's 4, right?
4,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure this is the 4th. Yeah.
Yeah. So, did Mitch or Marty won? The
Marty
other
won
right?
one of them.
Okay.
He
So
won the
that
like
was-
curved one.
right. Was that because the first
I don't
one was
remember what it was.
it was the Dookie, then the 360,
I could have go get them, but
and then there was
okay.
the Connect one
yeah,
last
Brandon-
year, right?
Brandon got that.
Brandon, that's right. So
oh yeah, so it's been 5.
this is
right?
the 5th year of this?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So many
good.
years.
I'm really glad. So, and again, the trophies every year are completely the product of the imagination and hard work of Unlocked fans. So
Pretty cool.
I love our audience. This is so cool that somebody takes this upon themselves, or in this year's case, multiple people
thank
take it
you.
upon themselves every year
I can't break this one.
to make. So basically how it works, it's very informal. If you want to make next year's trophy, if that's a thing that you want to do, you can email me unlocked@ign.com and we can arrange it. This one, like I had no creative input into this. Years past, like we started with the Duke. That was sort of my thought. Was like, all right, let's make it based off of old Xbox peripherals. Obviously, this is the Dookie Redux. But next year, it's at this point, it's whatever the trophy can be, whatever you want it to be. If you have a vision for it, but yeah. So drop me a line if you're interested. If you're capable and willing to take that on.
I think my favorite on this one is the Umlocks, because I'm the only one that probably knows the name of that weapon, because I did an armory on it when I worked
Nice.
at Screw Attack, because Chronicles of Riddick is one of my favorite games.
Oh my gosh, it's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah. All right. So, well, I guess we'll just play for pride next week then.
Yeah.
We'll just play for pride for fun.
It's practice.
But yeah, if you have an Unlocked Block trivia question, so an Xbox trivia question, please send it our way. Unlocked@ign.com. I need the question, the answer, and 4 multiple choice answers, noting the correct one, please. And it is time for us to go. We've had a nice long show this week to hopefully try and make it up for you a little bit from our unintentional absence last week. You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. Look for my re-review of Halo, the Master Chief Collection, coming soonish. It's almost done. Getting there now. So that's it from me. Destin?
Yeah, at Destin Legary on Twitter. I'll still be streaming a little bit throughout the end of the year at twitch.tv/the Destin channel. I'm going on my honeymoon very soon, and my family's visiting for a few days, so I'm going to be like in and out of the office for the next few weeks.
Are you not on next week's show?
I can do next week's show.
Okay.
My mom leaves on Monday. Yeah.
Okay, good. Glad you'll be
Your
here.
mom could be on the show.
That's true.
No, she's gone. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Destin. Good stuff there. Mark?
I don't like when Destin leaves because then Stella's my boss. She's mean to me.
She's a tyrant.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Domino's Official. I tweet about pizza a lot. Yeah, I don't know. The thing
I've had 30 to 40 pizzas. I've had 40 pizzas in the last 30 days.
their quality's going down. I had to eat 40 of them to know that. Really. Anyways, last week I plugged something that you'll never be able to hear, so I'll plug it this week. We had the developers of The Outer Worlds, Leonard Boyarsky and Tim Kaine, talk over a speed run that's like 12 minutes long of The Outer Worlds. And it got a lot of good feedback. And if you haven't watched it, you should go watch it because it's really, really cool. We weren't sure how creators of a game would react to their game.
Like if they'd be straight up offended?
Yeah,
or...
we were like, hey, this is like a really cool thing. We mean it to be positive. And it's just so funny to hear their reactions of like, I didn't know you could jump over that fence.
It's, by the way, it's Mark's being modest. It has almost 6 million views
almost
on
there.
YouTube.
It's almost there.
So yeah, check it out. It's really good.
It's really, really cool. You should watch it.
You should also
that's it.
publicly extend an invite for other developers who might be interested in doing
Yeah,
that.
if you want to react to a speed run
Of your game.
Mark _Medina at sifdavis.com or mmedina@ign.com is probably easier to remember.
That's easier. Miranda, take us home.
Yes, you can find me at Havoc Rose, and that's Havoc with a K, on Instagram, Twitter, and kind of wherever else you may be. I am working on some best of anime stuff. So I get to do some anime stuff again, which is really exciting, and some anime of the decade things. So that's all going to be a lot of work, and it will be very fun. Otherwise, please use IGN guides because we work really hard.
Yeah, as you're playing all your big fall games.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back for our final show of 2019 next week.